Meyer.
Thank you, Stella. I appreciate that. Hello, everyone, and welcome to BACP Empower Hour. I'm Ken Meyer, and I'm the Commissioner for the Chicago Department of Business Affairs and Consumer Protection, otherwise known as BACP. Our goal is to help businesses and consumers get the information they need to succeed by sharing advice and stories from Chicago's very own entrepreneurs. October is Polish American Heritage Month, and we're recognizing the contributions of Polish Americans by highlighting a business that is a staple not only in the Polish community, but really in all of Chicago. With us today is Zygmunt Dyrkacz. Did I say that correctly?
Perfect.
Yes.
Thank you. And Lela Dyrkacz, co-owners of Chopin Theatre located in Wicker Park. Welcome.
Thank you. Thanks for having us.
I appreciate it. Before we talk business, tell our attendees a little bit about yourself. And Lela, let's start with you.
Okay. I'm a Chicago native, the oldest of four. I do not have a background in the arts. I have a bachelor's in finance and a master's in business. And one day I stumbled upon the theater wanting to have a richer life. And I was always curious about the arts, and I volunteered, and I met this guy, Zygmunt, and we hit it off. I think we got married within a week, and that was 22 years ago.
Yeah, it was a long time. I have a long hair.
That's a great story.
Yeah.
One thing I thought was interesting, and really I did not know, because I know Chopin Theater, I know where you are located, etc. But I did not know that the Chopin Theater originally opened, get this, ladies and gentlemen, in March of 1918. Not a typo, 1918. Can you talk about the evolution of the building and theater? And ultimately, Zygmunt, you purchased the building in 1990. Tell us why you were intrigued to purchase the theater, and what were your plans for the theater in 1990?
I came in 1980 to on invitation of U.S. government as a biochemist. Oh. And then in 81, there was a martial law, so I couldn't go, so I stayed. And I was working, living on Lakeshore Drive, and it wasn't something which inspired me. And I saw some buildings on the corner of Milwaukee and the vision for demolition. And there were beautiful 4-story mansions with carved stones and everything. So I bought a few of them for under 20,000. And, you know, I was totally ignorant. I thought like a couple months, bum, bum. And so I started to fix that. That put, you know, and eventually I get some money. I sold some, and there was a theater around the corner, also for demolition with signs and everything. And I decided to buy it. The area was quite bad, one of the worst, or maybe worse in Chicago, next to Cabrini Green. Buildings on the left and right were vacant, 3 buildings on each side, and most of the area.
Yeah, I'm a native, and I remember that time. This area wasn't an area that you would come to, that's for sure. Yeah. Not like today.
So, because ignorance is a blessing, I enjoy with other people to create around the Coyote Festival, when we have like 20,000 people coming on the weekend. Mm-hmm. We open like 600 some galleries. Our theater did like 20 shows a day. You know, it was crazy, but slowly people, especially people, artists who romanticize poverty, they came, they say, hey, I can get this loft. I can put mattress and a candle and paint and play guitar. So slowly artists moved here because it was affordable. And Wicker Park right now is perhaps one of the most interesting places in Chicago. And so we do this theater. We of course improvise a lot. It's our own building. We have kids. We have 4 kids. It's you know, a few of them need some special attention, but we do this as a small business, like a restaurant, for example. So from fixing the roof to cleaning the sewer, from buying everything from thrift shops or garage sales, but I think it's very important that you start the business, not just about the business plan, because honestly, people are very often don't know what it is, what kind of animal is this, that you have to a certain moment jump in something you love, and like our marriage, and then the things come on you, and each bad experience result of knowledge. Okay, no, we're not going to do this, and you do this. And I think is the fate of so many businesses. And I think it's one of the important things for Chicago in America, that those small businesses
Oh, absolutely. I agree.
exist, because corporation change, there's a China, there's this or that, but there's a guy who has a bodega next to us, or there's, people
Right.
who
Really
thrift
practical-
shops which can
practical.
sell you the same shirt for $3 with this 25. Like, we all would like to have a big luxury, but it's coming with the steps.
A lot of everyday, practical, consistent work. That's kind of like the storyline of it.
Yeah.
I want to pick up on one thing you just said. So many times when I'm interviewing small business owners, entrepreneurs, and they have a business partner, right? Not necessarily a member of their family, but just a business partner. And they always say it's very much like a marriage with a business partner.
Mhm.
So let's just step back for a second. So you two are actually married and are
Yes.
also running the small business together.
Yeah.
And how does that work? And is it always business 24/7? Or do you kind of like, okay, tonight's date night, we're actually going to go to the theater and actually watch something, not worry about it?
No, it's tragic. Until the show ends, it's tragic. We're about to get divorced for 22 years. It's like, did you remember to put this? Do you remember this? Like this. And after the show, we
Humor plays a big role in it.
and after the show, we kiss and hug, and but you're running live show.
Right.
Listen, the bathroom upstairs just get clogged. Someone put something in.
Yeah.
So you run with this thing, and
It works because I think we also have different skill sets. We talk about all the artistic programming that we decide to present or produce, but then we kind of, I do a lot of the administrative stuff. Siggy does a lot of the creative discussions and stuff. But I think it also works because we really much love what we do. It has required a lot of sacrifice. We don't spend as much time as we would like with our kids, but we also think that there's a real purpose to what we're doing, which makes it
also maybe this. We never study arts, but we go to every museum, every theater. We talk about this. We do this. So really, to discover your passion for something, it's one of the key ingredients. Like you want to be with people, you want to talk with people,
and want to discuss ideas.
And I think one of this idea was that we want to be between people. I think to have a friend is the one of the top achievements in your life.
Mm-hmm.
And here we have 2,200 shows, different shows. Let's say 10 artists, there's like 20,000 artists. 1 million people went through. People know us, saints know us. So it's especially the pandemic and all this stuff, when people are lonely.
Yeah.
That give you the fuel to get up next day and say, what about this?
Yeah.
That's great. So let's go back to the building just for a second. We're talking about the brick and the mortar, and we're talking about the love and the personalities and the business partnerships. But back to the building. In 2015, the theater celebrated 100 years.
Yes.
How many years were you actually in the building again, just for all of us?
Since 1990.
Yeah.
Since 1990.
Okay. How did you celebrate such an amazing milestone when you actually celebrated the theater's concept for 100 years?
Well, first we were on cover of Tribune with picture, on the second page with other newspapers, radio. So that was very nice.
Yeah.
But
the biggest part, I think, was inviting people that kind of had been with the theater over the years, different theater leaders and literary people and organizers, because that's what the theater is all about, the people that we work with.
Yeah, I think we wanted to pay homage to a lot of issues, but I think first was to people like us, being in, like Eddie Torres, he was here yesterday to talk about something. He did Teatro Vista and other stuff for many years. So he was, and there was like 7 other people and
So Ralph Coyote and
yeah. So
musicians.
I think we thought that it's important to see this continuation of certain traditions. That it seems that, like I talked with my sons, yeah, I was idealistic too, but not necessarily everything go the way you want. And I say we all have the same intention. And I often give example of Cabrini Green. There was very good intent, but it didn't work very well. But then people put small houses across the street, and that worked very well, rent to own. So how you talk with through generation, through different concept, and so we invited those people. We sit for 3 hours and we talk about how we bring together all good people having different approach to something.
Yeah.
Especially our background.
We're very different.
From different systems and
yeah, sure. Yeah.
I noted that the theater has hosted performers from each of our 50 United States, each state, and from over 40 countries. How do you select the performances, and why is it important to highlight different cultures?
Yeah, well, yeah, I think we always start with the art in that it should have some existential quality. I think that's kind of something that we all can relate to. And I think that's why we've been fortunate enough to work with so many different artists from different countries, from different states, and a spectrum of artists in Chicago from different ethnic backgrounds and gender orientations and sexual orientations, because we always start with the artist. The story is something that everyone can relate to on an existential level. Is it something that connects the humanity in all of us?
But also, she makes this sounds very easy, and
it's not easy. It's a lot of work.
But one time we have to call I-Fest, which is monodrams when an actor comes from different countries. Okay, so I will not mention the countries, but let's say have a country number 1 and country number 2. So we have 1 hour performances. So we say country number 1 first, and then intermission country number 2. So the audience for country number 1 came and left after intermission, and audience for country number 2 came after intermission, even though they paid the same tickets for both. So what I'm saying is kind of hard work, but this have to be done to connect. And one of the such thing, even a subject is we introduced jazz to Polish audiences, and now they love it. Now jazz is something which is their music too. And
yeah, that's kind of what we try to do.
The theater's located across.
So to see, if I may put it, to see Polish housekeeper, for someone dancing with black lady, singing jazz, it's a success. It's that's what changed things. Two cultures which don't even touch each other because they live north, south, and do different things.
The theater is located across from the Polish Triangle. For some that may not know where exactly that is, the Polish Triangle is at the intersection of Milwaukee, Damon, and Ashland here in Chicago, on the city's northwest side. Zygmunt, can you tell us the significance of the space and what it means to the Polish community?
Well, my view of this is different, because at the beginning, when I came, there was martial law. Then I did first election in Chicago. I was very patriotic because of so many stuff happening in Poland, to abolish Russian influence on Poland and all this. But then slowly you become Polish Americans, and start to dream in English. I'm sorry, Polish audience. But you start to become something between. So at the beginning, I was kind of intrigued that 2 million Polish Americans went through that triangle, that the Polish institution like Polish National Alliance, 150 feet from us, they had 500,000 members. There was a huge organization. There were banks, there were theaters, and etc. They still 4 major churches. There's Polish Museum, So I was intrigued by that it cannot be just like we demolish everything like those buildings like the theater, and because it could be someone else would run it, but it shouldn't be demolished. So then slowly because of marriage, because I learned English a little bit, I start to think differently.
Sure.
And we start to be interested in art in general, international art, and that passion and friendship with a lot of people led us to do before pandemic over 500 events annually. Now we are around 350, but it's still a lot compared to the general situation in the theater. And we would like to do this forever. However, I'm 71 right now, and it's it will be helpful to hire one person to help.
Yeah. Earlier this month, the city of Chicago launched Theater Season, a new campaign to promote local theater in partnership with the League of Chicago Theaters, which Chopin Theater is a member. The campaign reminds residents and visitors to Chicago that autumn and winter mark the pinnacle of activity for our Chicago's performing arts organizations. How is Chopin Theater involved, and what does this spotlight mean for you and your theater and the industry as a whole?
Sure. I think we agree very much with DK and the mayor when they say that the theater as a segment, audiences haven't been coming back. And so a program that can talk about all the different arts in the city and encourage people to come is great. Although we don't know all the details of it yet, and it's an inaugural program, we're excited for anything that highlights arts in Chicago. For us, something that could be really cool is there's a train station right across on the right across the Polish Triangle. There's a blue line, and it's a division stop. For us, something as simple as having a sign that all the riders can see that this area has Chopin Theater, it has the Den Theater, it has all these other creative things would be something that would have a lot of impact too.
Because also it's most efficient to start with people around you, because
your base,
you create that grassroots audience, who can walk to the theater, and people who maybe on North Avenue or Chicago, and then so we need something which explain that arts are very important to have a vision for something, that you have to have a plan, that you have to have a dreams, and it doesn't have to be just entertainment. We just talked with our son yesterday to go to Art Institute because there's visual art connected to engineering. The paintings are about engineering in some kind of surreal way. So we say, why don't you go? And if you have an expanded view of stuff, you don't even go to university because you will start your own business. You'll be entrepreneurial, but you have to have that vision or courage. Like, for example, us, biophysics, biochemistry, MBA. You love something, you learn, you work hard.
You'll be committed to it.
So that's why we think that understanding from stuff like architecture to see great buildings, we lost a lot of great buildings in Wicker Park here, just because people went up. That's our fear, is that if we would like to, some point, when I will be on wheelchair, sell the theater, they will erase this. Everybody here wait for us to sell so they can sell their places and they go up. And it would make us very comfortable financially. But the idea is that there's so many fewer buildings which are original. The owner bring all flavor, whatever nationality, religion, color, whatever it is, they bring all flavor. And that's what we need in life. We need even more originality than quality. That's something, it's perfect, but it's boring because it's the same. What if you go to some store and they, has personality of their own, and that's what the great cities have.
Right.
You know,
along that same path, I also think, and we talked about this briefly earlier, I think theaters play an important role just in our economic development, right? Because with the Chopin Theater, that's going to bring in restaurants, right? It's just a great performance, theater performance. Let's say it's like, oh my gosh, let's go out for a drink. We gotta unwind that and kind of figure out what that was all about, right?
Yeah.
Some people like to have dinner before theater. A lot of other people like to go out for dinner after the theater.
Yeah, it's a cluster.
Some vitality to that.
Sure.
May I mention something? But I believe that there's bigger chance of survival if those, whatever you call this, entertaining center or artistic center are in cluster rather just spread across, because some area are just to sleep, some are there just hospitals or universities or something like that. Our business have better chance to survive if people, for example, can walk on division, which has high, for some festival. If there's like maybe 50 restaurants, there's another 50 boutiques. So what I'm saying is, from efficiency point of view, is to kind of get this.
There are clusters that kind of reinforce and support one another. There's a theater in Wicker Park. There are a couple of theaters. There's some music venues. There are independent shops. There are restaurants, and when it works well, we all work in tandem and feed off of each other.
So it's kind of strategy to create the cluster rather than just spread evenly, because it's harder for those centers.
Yeah, it's a critical numbers issue too.
Thank you for that. Changing just a little bit slightly, social media has changed the way we do business, promote our businesses. Can you explain your original marketing strategy, and has your strategy changed over the years?
Well, I think it's always been, about the work, the art. The tools, are very different. Some of the tools are like, we try to use Facebook. There are different ways to communicate with the different audiences.
She tried to use Facebook. I have nothing. I don't know anything about social media. I'm still a guy who reads the books and talk with people and make telephone calls. I hate texting. I don't know where's my phone very often. Because I think I would get lost. And I think you need some kind of quiet thing, because it's just so much information, so much news. So I just look at this, but I think
I think it still starts with the work. We try to use as many tools as we can to inform people about what we're doing. We still do ads when we can, and flyers to go out and touch people. We start with the Facebook and the Instagram and the Snapchat and all those other things because that's what the younger generation
but also
is
it's issue of retention, because someone come for the show. So I think quite a few people come because they want to see us, or they want to be in our space. It's like you go to favorite restaurant. I go because of restaurant, because of friends. Like she ordered food for me, and I'm fine with that. It had to be decent food, but it's for conversation, to meet with someone. So I think very often theaters are that host in neighborhood that it seemed like this bodega or fruit stand. People like, hey, what's happened? How is your wife, or how is your son?
But they also come because I think they have a sense of the thing that they can see here. There are a couple of companies that we work with that people have come to identify with our place. So there's, like anything, a lot of factors about why people come. Yeah.
Hey, what do you folks think about this proliferation of texting? Not by the audience, right? Everyone's got their cell phone off, not by the audience. Now, as part of the playwright or a streaming service, or even in movies, part of the way the actors are communicating is via text. I was just at a production in another small theater in Chicago, where someone wasn't necessarily on the stage, but that actor was texting, you want me to come over now, and they had the screens up for the audience. I was like, oh my gosh, now what's your thought on that?
Oh, I don't know. Was it in like a social media kind of play, or what was the context? I don't know. It could be distracting on some level.
Yeah, it was just like it's just interesting, but you know, it's reflective of what people are doing, right? I think that's what the play was being
Okay.
reflective of, right?
Okay.
But the thing which I don't like about social media that you are anonymous and
Yeah.
you share how. See, I have some problem with my English. I don't find that perfect word quickly, so very often I illustrate with some kind of example. Yeah. Now, so I am on social media. I look like stupid guy, and and also when you get older, you don't talk about particular events. You kind of entertain talking about ideas. Do you think this will work? Do you think that this? You see that if you talk about people that would change, you would talk about certain policy. You really like you see a lot of stuff. You struggle to find what would be the good way to do it. So if you have this idea of texting short something and you're not good in that, especially like you see on this interview, I think I think there will be eventually come back to like Dostoevsky, you know, that you know, you would think about the issues. What is what who we are? How much evil exists in the human, or how much love, or and you know, like if I would love to do Brother Karamazov, how you can have four sons, and they're all different.
Yeah.
And in sense, they love you and hate you at the same time. You know, like I want to go someplace. No, maybe you cannot go because you have to do this first. But bigger perspective of Dostoevsky, for example, like how human soul work, and it doesn't apply to texting. You know, it's so
a longer. It's just a shorter format. I understand what you're saying, that you hope for a return where you can have longer formats that allow you to really delve into issues and
Conversation too.
Yeah, conversation and criticism, critique, all of debate.
Especially when you have age gap, because we were there doing tons of stupid things, you know, with good intention, you know, like what to do with your life. Like our youngest is 19, like what he should study, what you should go. Maybe you should go work for a year. Maybe diploma is secondary to you fall in love with some.
So finding out what that thing is. Yeah.
That's great. Thank you for that. Let's go back a little bit now about our chambers, our neighborhood business development centers. You know, we have over 70 that BACP supports and oversees, and including the Polish American Chamber of Commerce. How do you work with the various chambers, and how have you found them to be supportive of your business, and even when you got started?
Yeah, well, Bogdan and the gang at PACC, they, you know, during the pandemic, they were very helpful in finding opportunities, especially for us in theater.
So they did some of the events in our space.
Right.
We're happy to have. They also sometimes when we have show, they say recommend it and this.
Yeah.
And we know each other couple of decades. And the members, so we kind of like close community, which we see all this stuff which they do, and we engage in many of them to listen what would be the best way. That's we wish they were here, like across the street, you know, to be really, you know, pinpoint of something what is right here on this corner of this, but they're a little bit north of us. So, but that idea of your work and their work to support that small business, which is right now, there's a lot of articles about that the small business is on a very critical phase because of you know, manufacturing is colossal, you know,
cost of
automatization, labor costs are high. There's little movement. I wish a little bigger movement, that people start to take a pride from what they do with their hands. I know a lot of kids coming back to the farms, and they say, I want to be a farmer. I think this is this great satisfaction of having something, it's like we do theater, sometimes we don't know it's a good show, bad show, what do you think, what did change or something. So every day, like almost every day, like 80% of the time, I sweep the street. And so the lady came and said, you are the theater director, you sweep the street. And I explained to her, that's the thing which I know is good. I can show it. It was this, now it's
dirty, now it's not.
So that idea that people should have, everybody dream about office, yes? Don't take this personal. But I think that there should be some reflection that people say, I maybe do maybe fix my car, maybe, do, and that is very important, small business, that they will see that they don't do this because they can explain somehow that they don't do this just because of money or they cannot do anything else. They feel that there's value in this.
Yeah, so let's talk a little bit about how you stay afloat in capital and financing. Many of our attendees are always seeking capital to start and enhance their business. Share with us some of your financial obstacles that you faced when you first started, I should say. And what advice and tips can you offer for someone who is having issues with getting that loan to open up their business for the first time?
Well, I think you can believe in desperation. Okay, so so we bought those two buildings, for $75,000 for two buildings. Okay, so the bank sold me because they were for demolition. I said, listen, you cannot demolish those buildings. They're just a beautiful building. Okay, so they sold me this building, and they verbally told me, okay, so it's all good, and then later we give you some loan or something like that. After I bought the building, they said they cannot give me loan because I didn't have this or that or that. So I basically told them, listen, I'm in a difficult situation right now because you tell me something and I'm directly from the boat. Whatever you say, I take it like 100%, And I said, if you don't give me the loans, I buy a tent and I put this in front of the thing and I'll be staying there with my wife and my kids. And I'm sorry that was like this, but I was broke, okay. But anyway, so I get that first one, Then I think another thing is you go to your family and you beg and you say, listen, this is going to make us so much money. No, but you use family to help you. You obviously show that you make progress. There's things you give them all documentation, something. But family and friends are important. You can get for the down payment also some stuff, and then you wait a little bit and you start to understand that you rent or you sell or the stuff. It's hard on that level, small business, small people, to have this big, Harvard knowledge about how the stock markets work and how you just deal with your house and
we're also here. We're here. We don't farm anything out. We're here every day. We invest everything back in. We're not growing too fast. We're very calculating by how we expand into different programming. We tend to not do anything that maybe our audience isn't ready for, so we don't get too far ahead. But those are kind of like universal things, not growing too fast, keeping your hand on it, reinvesting everything that you have back into it, relying on family and friends to help you out in critical moments, and just being open to different ideas and meeting people, because you never know what could turn out.
And also, each of these experiences, bad experiences, build a certain armor for your further activity, because and you kind of understand that how you eat elephant, piece by piece. So if there are events when we are like really crushed because I mean physically in the theater that this happened, or they fixing the sidewalk, nobody can come to the building. There are like so many things happen, but you believe in yourself that you find the solution. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You find a solution, and also you try to look perspective. Okay, so my kids don't believe it, but when I told them that I couldn't save for 27 years living in Poland, couldn't save $10 to buy jeans or tennis shoes, or I get orange for Christmas, So you have to have that perspective. You see, listen, we have laptop, we have Googles, we have, and you can see those stuff. This is a miracle. I used to have to wait in the library for a book with one drawing of some animal, and now I can see this animal in slow motion doing stuff. So to having that perspective, no, you're very happy. You have hot shower. Because young people very often compare themselves, like my sons, to those people who have yachts and airplanes, and oh my God, I don't have
the latest
swimming. I don't have swimming pool, so I'm crushed. So that perspective helps you, I think, a lot to see how happy we are.
So October is Polish American Heritage Month. How is Chopin Theater celebrating this month?
Well, we had a couple of events already. We had Jestem Joanna S, which was a
immigrant story,
and then we did the
Warsaw University.
Yeah, we did the Students with UIC, a project with the experimental music with Boring Drug. In a few weeks, we'll have Polish night with our current production where we do this several times a year. We invite the Polish community to see an American production.
Very often family with kids for free, immigrants, so they see the theater and they see. Also, in the week probably we have a big ad. It's a major Chicago newspaper, like full page or half page of the poem by Maria Szymborska, by
Wisława Szymborska
about the war. Okay, and that poem was used after 9/11 to talk about how people forget about what's happened, about the past, and things happen again. So we like to also to bring the perspective, because we are so much in current events, that we should look on to see through 2,000-3,000 years of history, so that we want to put that poem, which is one of the most famous poem in the world. And
then a few weeks later, we're doing
we do another
theater,
which is this soul jazz festival. And we have like 400 people come throughout the day. We have like 10 jazz bands with mixed communities.
Yeah, and a headlining artist from Poland.
And then we do another show in Polish. But those are like we try very hard to bring that middle. Okay, because we have so many communities of this thing, and it's hard work. But how you bring that middle of different people, seeing other people, talk with other people. People like to stay after the show. Intermissions are long. So when people together have a drink or food together, they're so much more trustful.
Dialoguing.
Just by seeing people.
Well. Thank you very much for sharing your business journey with our attendees and sharing your stories. Let's transition a little bit. So I think everyone's been dying, and I've seen a little bit of chat. So what is the production right now at Chopin Theater?
Oh, we have American Cycle performing right now. In a few weeks, we'll be preparing for our holiday show, Christmas with Elvis.
Oh, nice. And American Psycho is at the theater until November
26th.
And it may extend. We are sold out right now every show.
Oh, wow. We're promoting a sold out show. What nights do you perform?
4 nights a week, 7 p.m. Thursday through Saturday, and 5 p.m. on Sundays.
Okay. And when you're not running a business, how do you two relax?
We don't.
No, we do. Our hobby is camping. So we have this SUV. We throw the mattress, kids, and dog, And we drive 24 hours to British Columbia or Utah or,
We've
you
been to a
know.
lot of state parks. The kids are 17 and 19 now, so they're a little, they have their own lives, so they're a
Yeah.
little less
But
interested, but whenever we can convince them to go on a road trip, that's what we do.
That's great. And since this webinar is entitled Empower Hour, please share, maybe each of you, please share a piece of advice that can empower our attendees.
Okay. Go, you go.
the love conquer everything.
That's a good one.
Consistency.
Yeah.
Just stick to it.
That's great. I appreciate that. Can you share us your website and social media? For those
All the information, all the links are at our website, chopintheatre.com. That's CHOPINTHEATRE.com.
Well, thank you again. Can you stay a little bit longer? And we'll take some questions from the audience.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Stella, how are we doing?
We have a few questions.
Okay.
First question, was there a financial strain on business and operations when you first took over the theater?
Was financial what?
Strain when we first started the theater back in 1990. I wasn't around, so I'll have to defer to Zygmunt.
Oh yeah, it was it was terrible. Like I have those two kids. I was alone, and we sleep on mattress in the basement. And then when I saw that building, I moved the building next to us because I thought this would be a place for artists, visiting artists, rather than a hotel we cannot afford. So there was a plan we can for much less. And when I start to get all the rent bills, for gas, telephone, and other stuff, I have to sell it. And I sold this with little profit. But the building was resold in 6 months for double. So it's not just I lost a lot of money, but I lost the building, which I think about this every week, that if I have that next building, I could do so much more, that because that's the only building I want, to extend our storage space, to have a place for actors, So yeah, there was a show, and I didn't know someone wanted to play music. I didn't know this was like loud band, and I invited someone from Europe, and they couldn't play. We didn't have much installation at the time, and they did the rock concert, and he is very subtle play. So I called my friends. We moved the show, and I'm not really good Christian, but I pray to the God, if this show go okay without all this noise, I will not do any more shows. So you have this is maybe not a place to talk about those, but there are moments when you are crushed, and but I don't think you can do otherwise. Those are big lessons. So we lost so much because we expanded too much,
Yeah.
So one of the lessons right now is, the history of small business is that they don't lose because people don't work hard or they have bad ideas. It's under financing. So be in that position that you know what you have, but you need that a little bit more money just to go over. It's the biggest, I think, obstacle for the small businesses.
Yeah.
So right now we try to be really very conservative, save on everything.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for your honesty and candor. Stella?
Next question. When you think about scaling a theater, how did you approach this? With networking and partners or with other organizations?
We really, if we would like to scale theater, we would like to do something like Edinburgh Festival in Wicker Park.
Yeah.
When you have like 3,000 shows in a month, the
galleries
whole
or-
world will come here.
Yeah.
Like to Edinburgh, everything is just, people do the show in telephone booths. People do shows in the tracks, inside of the tracks when people come in. So I think that Wicker Park could handle this, to have like 50 or 100 shows
Sure.
a day.
Mhm.
So this is really our dream. In our theater, we are on capacity, with 10 shows a week. It's difficult to have something else.
Mhm.
Stella?
Next question. Are you open to mentorship programs, to help out with a young developing production company whose focus is on culture?
We do this all the time.
Yeah.
We do this all the time. By the fact that every production, we have production meeting. It's not just I give you key, you give me check. We have production meetings, sometimes many few. We are very often physically have unloading, we have build stuff, we, prepare from lights to sound.
Yeah.
So that's kind of mentorship. And we talk.
Very often we start with companies, and the mentorship takes many forms. Sometimes we start with companies that are just starting, and then they grow with us, maybe one show for 1 or 2 weeks, but then, maybe they start in the studio, then they move up to the main stage, and then sometimes they outgrow us and they move to a larger venue.
But
so it takes many forms.
But also what it's been mentorship is sometimes just to have open relation, which means I'm looking for a perspective of old man who's mostly science, who's from other continent, different experiences.
Mhm.
So we talk about this, and we talk in a very open way, and people agree and disagree and talk. What about this? What about that? So that is one of the mentorship that we are. Like we do show about, I don't know, Broiko or something, and we talk for like 10 times about what you could put in from. Maybe we throw this, maybe this is not, go that direction. So I think it's difficult because it's like, on one hand, we've seen like you meddling in
Yeah.
but listen, if you have a solid idea, I'm not going to change anything about that.
Mhm.
But if I saw just here 2,000 different shows, maybe rather than build a castle, you can save all that money and just put a couple cubes because it's about text.
Shortcuts, but I think they get the idea.
But to be active of that, I think it's kind of, I think at least we let people think about different perspectives.
Thank you. All right, so let's take one last question before our hour is almost over.
One last question. How can we see your events? Do you have an event calendar?
We have everything on our website, chopintheatre.com. It's a really easy page. It has the first page, everything current and coming soon, and then a lot of our archives. But yeah, we keep that up to date.
Or you can just walk by the theater. We kidnap a lot of people, and we just say, you have to come to see for a couple minutes, and then people are like, wow, I will come back.
Yeah.
We even kidnapped like a month ago a school, like they were going.
Walking by.
They says, hey, we have to see this.
Come on in. Yeah, great.
I love it. Just come on by. Well, thank you, Zygmunt and Lela, very much for your time. I really appreciate it. I love hearing the stories and the history of the theater, and also just everything you've done for that community in Wicker Park.
Thank you.
And we would like to thank you what City and you do for small businesses, because like I said, they provide support, financial, these services, but they also provide a lot of psychological support, because they stay in neighborhood. You know them by the name. Your life is not on the internet. It's not anonymous. You go and that restaurant for 20 years. They know what you eat. It is like really families. It's really what you need. It is much cheaper than going to therapists.
And I want to thank all of our attendees for joining us today for our October Empower Hour. Welcome. Happy Polish American Heritage Month. And you can watch today's Empower Hour on our YouTube channel by visiting youtube.com/Chicago BACP. We'll have that up later today or tomorrow. And for more information on our next Empower Hour, please visit chicago.gov/BACP. business education. Thanks, everyone. Let's make it a great Thursday. Happy early weekend, and I'll see you next month.
Thank you very much for having us.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.